This episode begins with a flashback with Jin Man in a courtroom. He's being asked if he saw the defendant killing civilians. On a flashback, we are back to the day of Jin Man's mother's funeral when he received an unexpected call. After the call, Jin Man messages Honda and tells him that Bell is alive. He asks Honda to keep Jian safe. Honda appears to be the man that answered the riddle for Jian previously. On his way back to the funeral home, Jin Man is stopped by a lady whose car broke down in the middle of a tunnel. She seems sus to me considering the car purposely set across the lane to stop oncoming traffic. Turns out it was all a ruse to ambush Jin Man as multiple people try shooting the car. Back to present day and we see the group moving around the storage shed to try and find Min-hee. Min-hee, being a pro, is able to single-handedly take down the group one by one. The sniper tries to reach out to the group and tells them to hurry up. Min-hee continues to get rid of the group until there's only one person left. Unlike with the previous guy, this fight takes a little bit longer, but Min-hee is able to deal with the last man standing with a little bit of poison. Back in the basement, Brother is still holding Jian and Jeong-min at gunpoint. He throws something to Jian and tells her to put it on Jeong-min, which she does. When Brother is barely paying attention to Jian, she places Brother in a headlock and tries to slowly choke him. We see a flashback of when Jian was in an amusement park back on one of the rides. During the ride, the guy she was sitting next to almost flew off his seat. Jian manages to grab him with their legs. He ends up sitting on her lap for the rest of the ride, which they laugh about. He gives her a ride back home on the back of his motorbike. Before he leaves, he tries to give Jian a kiss at her front door, but is stopped by her uncle and Passin, who appear out of nowhere. A group of students are at a table talking about Jian. They went to school together and they mention the incident where Jian had hit one of them with a chair when they were younger. While at work, Jian spots a guy outside the shop with his friends. Upon seeing her, he changes his mind and decides not to go into the shop and instead go elsewhere. Jian arrives home and sees Jin Man watching the news where they mention that he could be sentenced up to 15 years for gun trafficking. Jian asks Jin Man about the people who no longer speak to her after coming to her house, and her uncle tells her the reasons why, such as one of her classmates stealing a watch. He did mention that they did apologise and return the watch. Jian tells her uncle that she wants a normal life where she can hang out with friends. Jian asks her uncle if her parents really died the way that everybody said. Jin Man barely responds and instead tells Jian to do the dishes. It's another day and Jian is helping her uncle in a storage shed by driving a forklift. She sees her uncle in the mirror and tries to trap her uncle with the forklift and between some of the shelves. An unimpressed Jin Man tells Jian to put the forklift back in its proper place. She tries to go after her uncle in frustration but is stopped by Passin. After getting permission from Jin Man, Passin chokes Jian until she passes out. When Jian regains consciousness, she asks if she passed out. She also asks her uncle how he can allow Passin to make her pass out. Jin Man tries to act like that wasn't the case, as he had nothing to do with it, before telling Jian to put the forklift back where it was. Jian goes to the restaurant where we see Passin and the three guys who helped with the renovations are hanging out. Jian asks Passin to teach her to fight and that she will pay for the lessons. He agrees to teach Jian 3 times a week and takes her around the back of the restaurant to start her training. One punch and Jian is knocked out. Days go by and we see Jian continuing with her lessons with Passin. Jian sees her uncle outside and tries to use the opportunity to sneak up on him. It doesn't work out the way she expected and she ends up falling on her ass. Jian continues with the lessons and we can see that she has gotten better. One night on the way home, Jian comes across some of her classmates running away. She interrupts the 3 guys who have cornered a female classmate. She manages to run away when they are distracted by Jian's appearance. They then tell Jian that she needs to make up for it as she made the other girl run away. This prompts Jian to get into a fighting stance. Jian manages to dodge a punch and hit one of the guys thanks to her training with Passin. Jin Man appears out of nowhere, along with the girl that ran away before who came back with the police. Jin Man tells Jian that he knows that she has been learning to fight from Passin and has gone back to the restaurant to continue her training, but finds out that Passin has run off with everyone's money. Back to present day and Jeong-min is looking at the monitors in the basement which are showing CCTV footage from multiple cameras. A disturbed Jian asks who Brother is and how long he has been watching her. Jeong-min sees Min-hee on the cameras and they decide that they need her if they want to stop the other guys. The lights in the basement are turned on, which panics Brother, who doesn't do well in bright spaces. Jian asks again how long he's been watching her and he tells her that he's been in the basement since the 26th of June 2009. Jeong-min tries to gag Brother to stop him from saying any more. He then tells Jian that he is going to try and figure out the shopping mall systems. When Jian and Jeong-min are distracted, Brother calls out to Jian. He has managed to free himself and he tries to tell Jian not to trust Jeong-min before running away. They both try to find him, with Jeong-min holding out a gun while he searches. Brother sneaks up on Jian and tries to inject her, but she manages to avoid it and tries to run under some of the shelves, where she is then dropped onto a bed under a hidden door. Brother takes the opportunity to turn off the lights and traps Jeong-min with his night vision goggles. Brother manages to sneak up on him and knock him out. Brother makes sure he has Jeongmin securely tied up before going back to the trapdoor where Jian is. He speaks to Jian via a tablet which is connected to the monitors in an underground room. He tells Jian to open the drawer on the desk. When she opens the drawer, she sees a handover guide for murder help. She is told to read the rules which state the handover-related process. Once she has read the rules, Brother asks her if she wants to write her answer using the available pad and pen. Jian writes that she consents to the handover. Once she's let out of the secret room, she tells Brother to let Jeongmin go. Brother tries to tell Jian that her uncle is dead because of Jeongmin. Jeongmin attacks Brother as soon as he is free, and Jian holds up the gun at Jeongmin and asks what Brother is talking about. Jeongmin claims that this all happened because he was helping to build a hardware website for her uncle. He then turns it back on Brother by mentioning how Brother has been in the basement watching them. Brother tries to tell Jian that her uncle would never commit suicide. When Brother manages to get the upper hand on Jeongmin, he tries to tell Jian to open a video file 0404. Jian was about to open a video file but changed her mind after Jeongmin told her that it could be a virus that may open the doors or could set up to kill them in many different ways. Jeongmin tries to plead his case to Jian even more by telling her that he was the one that told her uncle that she was locked in a basement at school. Jian has a flashback to when she was with her uncle, and he told her that he would leave it up to Jian to decide if she wants to keep the cat. He tries to use the moment to teach Jian that every choice that she makes comes with responsibilities. We see Minhee on the camera checking outside the storage area for any more enemies. Knowing that Minhee is hurt, Jian tells Brother to go up and give her some guns and medicine. Brother leaves a gift for Jian after grabbing a bag of supplies before telling her not to leave the shopping mall. Brother makes it to the storage unit where he's held at gunpoint by Minhee before she realizes that it's Brother. Jeongmin gives Jian a hug, thanking her for choosing him, before he brings out a needle which he uses on Jian to weaken her. While on the floor, barely able to move, Jian looks at the glasses that were left by Brother before she asks Jeongmin who he really is. Jeongmin just looks at Jian and smiles. On the bridge, there are reinforcements waiting, and we see them bring out a new controllable device, which is promptly started up. That's it for today's recap, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in next week for the next recap.